Hi everyone, and welcome to this new speed build in The Sims 4. And today I'm building a tiny house in Brindleton Bay, and this tiny house actually was suggested to me in my container home house, if I remember well, by Jasmine, so thank you very much for that suggestion. This house was definitely very beautiful, and I was really excited to try it out because this is the type of houses that I've wanted to try and build for a little while. But it's actually very difficult because the loft area it's not fully, a full upstairs, if that makes any sense in real life, so trying to recreate that in The Sims is actually quite difficult. But here, I'm really happy with how I managed to recreate this loft area. So the interior and the way the rooms are laid out is quite different from the original house, and I'm kind of sad about that, but to be able to have this loft area, it was the easiest way that I found to, to fit the loft area. So in this house you have only one bedroom, which is in the loft. You have one bathroom, and you have, of course, kitchen, dining, living. I really like the layout inside this house and how the furniture are placed. It's very airy, very light, and it doesn't really look like it's small inside. It actually looks very spacious. And when it comes to the color theme, I went for inside and outside for the house. I tried to stay as close as possible as the original house. So here you can see pretty much how I have decided to lay out everything. I actually built this house 2 times, and the first time I had an issue with the ladder. I don't know what I did, but the entire upper floor just disappeared. And depending on the angle at which I put my camera, I could see the floor and sometimes I couldn't. And that became really problematic when I started trying to furnish the interior, so I had to restart everything, and thankfully I didn't do a whole lot with this house, because something that I really worked on for this build was the garden and the landscaping all around the house, because that's something that I saw when Tiny Living came out. There was this house that I don't remember the name of, but it was one that we could see in the trailer. And it was also on a 30 by 40 lot, because, by the way, I'm building in Brindleton Bay, as I said, and I'm building on the tails end lot, which is the 30 by 40 just next to the lounge in Brindleton Bay. And this lot is really big, and for a tiny house, when I saw the house from the trailer, I thought this is such a big lot for such a tiny house. But then I saw what they did with the garden, and that's kind of what I tried to recreate here in this house, and I'm really happy with the result. I did use as well some terrain tool, not too much, just to put the house a little bit higher on kind of a small little hill, as well as the greenhouse, which actually something really funny happened with the greenhouse, because in the original picture that I saw of the Elsa build, I don't know if I mentioned this, by the way, but this tiny house is inspired by the Elsa tiny house build, which I will leave a link to everything that I found in the description. And on this tiny house, you actually had a greenhouse. But to avoid having too many tiles used and to allow you guys to maybe expand on the house without having too many tiles and just having to remove this house from the tiny residential lot, I decided to just place the greenhouse on the ground and delete the floor, because I thought that this counted as a tile, but actually it doesn't. It's the walls that actually count as a room, so you can delete the tiles if you want to, but this will still be a room, or actually it will still count as the full amount of tiles that you use to create this tiny house. And as I said, there was this weird little glitch that happened because I kept moving the greenhouse around, because I wasn't sure if I wanted for it to be so close to the house or if I wanted for it to be a little bit farther away. And eventually I just, placed it there, and I wanted to be able to move it around a little bit more easily and to make it a bit higher up with the terrain. And then when I deleted the floor, because of the fact, that I placed this room in the middle, it deleted the walls, but it didn't delete the windows. And because I was using the move objects cheat, the windows stayed. That's why they're still here. But there's no walls, there's no tiles, and that actually saved us 9 tiles for this tiny house, or actually this small house. It wasn't, a big change, but now I'm wondering if the plants that you can put in this room will actually be considered as protected, and if this greenhouse actually is a greenhouse. Otherwise, I would suggest to turn on, of course, the move objects cheat. I never mentioned this in my builds, but you should definitely turn on your move objects cheat when you place my builds. That's kind of a requirement. But yeah, if you really want for this greenhouse to work as a greenhouse, turn on your move objects cheat and then place the ground and then build the walls, and there you go, you will have a greenhouse. But that was a really strange little glitch, and yeah, so now I'm starting to decorate a bit more the outside. I did work a little bit on the porch and placed this sofa, this bench outside, which I thought, was really cute, maybe to just hang out in the sunset or something. I don't know why I was imagining that. And I tried to stay as close as possible with the trees and with the plants that I used to the surrounding neighborhood of this lot, because you can see a lot of pine trees, a lot of maple trees, kind of something like that, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can see a lot of those all around, so I try to use these as much as possible. And so here I'm actually working on the inside, and I'm going to move around a lot the sofa and the kind of living space. And I will also switch a little bit the color theme that I'm going to go with, because in the end I will use mainly green and reds, although, to try and have this warm aspect inside the house. But yeah, this was to try and stay as close as possible from the original color theme that was in the Elsa tiny house. And when it comes to the decorating, I didn't decorate too much. As you can see here, I'm just placing those kind of, cupboards, kind of, shelves that came with Island Living. I really like those, actually. They look to me a bit more realistic than the others. And they keep that open aspect that I really like, especially in tiny homes. And so here, I thought that I was just going to put some counters, because this was something that I saw in several tiny houses builds and videos. People were just using counter spaces, and they could actually use the storage space under the table to, stock things. But in the end, I just decided to go ahead and use that table that came with Dine Out to be able to use those bar stool. I think that's how they're called. And I really like that, actually. And this, I think, was highly inspired as well from the Elsa build. I think I saw, if I remember well, I'm not so sure now, but I saw those bar stools and I thought that they were just exactly like what I saw in the tiny house. And by the way, I've played and tested this build. Everything works perfectly. There is no problem. The bookshelf works really fine. I'm actually using Bob's the Moor to test out my builds, and the first thing she did when I moved her here was to go to the bookshelf, and that actually reassured me, because I was really worried that the bookshelf wouldn't work, and this was just the exact bookshelf that I wanted to use. I couldn't see another bookshelf, but yeah, thankfully everything works fine. And I decided as well to place some planters inside, so you have one that I'm going to place here in the kitchen. I'm going to move things just a little bit around just to add some decorations, to add the trash can as well. And you will see that as well in the bathroom. I will place a hamper, although when I will go ahead and play and test the house, I will remove it, because as I was doing the landscaping and decorating the outside of this build, I thought that I didn't place any laundry items inside, but I actually forgot that I had placed the hamper, so I didn't place any clothesline, any wash tubs. There is no laundry machine and, drying and washing machines. So I just decided to go ahead and remove the hamper, so this way, your Sims won't have to do any laundry, you won't have to place any other items, and I honestly didn't know where to place the clothesline, and, recently I've been getting a little bit tired of having my Sims do laundry and stuff, so not having laundry to do in the game was pretty nice, I think, so that's why I just decided to remove the hamper. But here I'm going back and changing a little bit the color scheme that I went with, and as you can see, I decided to go ahead and use mainly reds and greens to have this warm effect, and red and green actually go really well together. These, I think, are complementary colors. So yeah, this gives this really natural aspect for the tiny house, and also the really warm and welcoming, So there you go. And then I will be moving on to the bathroom, and the bathroom is really simple, and something that you will see later on is that I decided to place the bathtub outside, because I was thinking that the Sims that would be moving into this house would be maybe a young couple, or maybe just one sim who will then be moving in with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and then, you know, maybe they could expand their family. And I was thinking that maybe if they ever had a baby who would then become a toddler, they would like to bathe that toddler. So I will place a bathtub outside just behind the bathroom, because I was thinking that for the water connection and the plumbing system, it was a little bit easier to place the bathtub next to where you already have some plumbings and some water connections. So here you are actually seeing me just placing a bunch of bathtubs outside just to make sure that I'm not going to miss any of them and choose the one that I really wanted to go with. But this bathroom is really simple. You have a sink, you have a toilet, and you have a simple shower. But yeah, as I said, outside you will have also a bathtub. And actually today I saw a video on tiny houses, and there was someone who was living, you know, in this tiny house, and they had a shower inside. But most recently, just I think a couple weeks before the video was filmed, they had placed an outdoor bathtub, and I thought this was really cool, and I was really happy to have thought of this in this build. But here I'm actually moving on to the loft area. Once again, very simple place. I decided to go ahead as well and use the bed that came with Eco Lifestyle, because I really like this bed, and I once again hesitated to use the one that came with Seasons because of the cushions on it. But I thought that this one was maybe a little bit more, would go a bit more with the style that I wanted to go with in this build. And also from the pictures that I saw of the Elsa tiny house build, I thought that this bed was a little bit closer to what they had inside, or at least from what I can remember. And I will also use a bunch of items from Eco Lifestyle, such as the candle making station, the fizzy juice machine, and also the woodworking table. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. So the woodworking table will also be outside, and I thought that maybe they had built a lot of their furniture, such as the dressers, such as the bed, for example, and maybe some of their sofas. So yeah, this room is really simple, and I was really thinking that the person or the Sims that would be living here would have built their entire furniture. And I will also put some decorations on the walls. I will use this painting that came with Seasons, and as I was, you know, going through all of the swatches, I saw that one of the swatch, even though it's the barn, it's the exact same barn, you can see a slight difference with the door and some of the lines in the painting. And I thought that this was actually quite funny to see. But here I'm just doing the landscaping and going around, adding some dirt. I really had so much fun doing this. I was worried that it would look a little bit too full, you know, to use too many times the same plants, and that it would just look strange. But in the end, it actually looks really, really fun, really nice. That's what I wanted to say. And it was definitely really fun to make. And I really went further than what I usually do when it comes to doing the pathways, and to give this more realistic aspect of the landscaping and the paint, you know, on the floor. And so here is where I'm placing the fizzy juice making machine, the candle crafting station, and the woodworking table. I will also place a flower arranging table in the greenhouse, and you will also have a bug house in the greenhouse, and you will also have, of course, planters, garden planters, and bees as well if you wanted to use the wax from the bees. This is actually the easiest way that I found to get wax to be able to make the candles, because the soy wax, I think, takes a little bit longer to generate in the game than the bee wax. So that's why I also placed the bees. Plus, you know, they're very handy when it comes to gardening. Here I'm placing this kind of arch just above the mailbox and the, how is it called? The trash can, because I thought that it looked really nice. And I've seen this as I was growing up in the town that I grew up in. You could see that people were doing those things and just put a bunch of flowers on those arch. And it was really, really pretty, so I thought about this and decided to go ahead and do that. Here's the greenhouse, and I went ahead and also used this new shelf that came with Eco Lifestyle. I don't think the Sims can actually use it. It's just a decorative shelf, but it's really, really pretty, and it looks so pretty, you know, like something that you've made yourself. And here you can see all of the items that I took out from the build mode just to make sure that I was going to use them. And this is actually something that I did, I think, in my previous build, or maybe my previous couple builds. And I just, every time I come across an item that I'm thinking using maybe for another room, rather than moving on to that room, I'm just placing the item where I'm thinking to use it. This way I can still focus on the room that I was working on, which actually made the building process a little bit quicker for me and a bit more enjoyable as well. And I think with the overall speed build in the video, it's a bit more easy to watch and a bit more enjoyable to watch as well. Now, when it comes to the outdoor eating area, I'm not really pleased with what I done, but I don't know, I didn't really know what else to do. And I think it's because I left such a big space for the eating area that you can see here. And I don't know, it was too big, I think, but I didn't want to change it. And maybe if you guys wanted to add something else on it, maybe, you didn't have to go through the painting process of the land. So you have some room if you want to add some more items. But of course, you will have 6 outdoor sitting places because I used one of the round tables that came with Jungle Adventure. And you also have a barbecue. I decided to go with the kind of old and homemade kind of barbecue that came with Jungle Adventure as well, because I thought that this was also something that maybe the sim who was living here had made themselves, just to have a barbecue. And even though I think by now they have improved their skill, they're just sentimentally, emotionally they're attached to that item because this was maybe the first thing that they created. I also went ahead and used the fairy lights that came with the toddler stuff pack. I will, though, experiment a little bit, and I thought maybe cutting that out, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it on the build, so this way you guys can see sometimes what I do. And so I experimented, but I think in the end, that it was a little bit too many fairy lights and too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove them. In the end, I will put the outdoor retreat lantern that you can place outside, and I decided to go ahead and use the ones that can be used off the grid. Because I think this build could easily be used off the grid. I think you will need to upgrade the fridge, because I think you can upgrade appliances and electronic items to be functional off the grid, although of course they would use a lot of energy that you should probably use for something else. But as you saw, I placed some solar panels on the roof, and I've also put a dew collector outside just next to the greenhouse under the tree, because I was thinking that maybe the water could be dripping from the leaves in the dew collector. Although when it's raining, it would be a bit more smart, I think, to move it in an empty space to maybe gather more water. And here I'm placing those lounge chairs in this space because it was really empty and I didn't know what to do, and I was thinking that maybe the lounge chairs would be very lonely there, it would be very empty to just have those 2 lounge chairs here. But it actually looks really nice because I kind of challenged myself and tried to put a lot of flowers, a lot of landscaping but yeah, I tried to fill this space with a bunch of plants, and once again, I'm really, really happy with the result, and I'm really curious to know what you guys think, because I really enjoyed doing this landscaping, and I think this was a very good exercise and a very good challenge for me to try and improve my landscaping skill. And here, as you can see, I'm adding some pathways to go to the swing set and to go to the lounge chairs. And also you will see that probably pretty soon, but I left open the lot to some pathways that you can see outside of the lot, because you can see on the ground, for example, next to the lounge chairs, that the color of the floor, of the ground is a little bit different, and this sand aspect actually goes to a pathway that can after lead you to the lounge space. And then at the back of the lot, just next to the swing set, you also have an opening area of the lot. And this is kind of a pathway that can lead you to the dock area where you have all of the boats. And I was also thinking that maybe the people who were living here maybe placed their tiny house here, and they weren't sure if they were going to use it for a very long time or if they were going to let it here. But eventually, they got used to living in Brindleton Bay, just next to the ocean, and maybe they invested in a boat, and maybe they have a boat as well that they like to get access to. So this is actually when I'm leaving this open space. It's kind of a gate area, but made with plants, which I really like. And yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed doing the landscaping. And here I'm pretty much just going to go ahead and place a bunch of plants everywhere. I try to leave as much as possible of me doing the landscaping just to show you guys what I did. And if you have any suggestions or any advice to give me on how to improve my landscaping, please let me know. But I think I'm on a good way because I'm much more happy now than I was maybe in my couple builds with the landscaping and the garden space. But yeah, I'm actually almost done with the entire building process. I'm just going to go ahead and add some pathways just around the greenhouse, and I will also change the pathway that leads you to the house. I will replace it with this kind of rocky pathway that I've been using all around the lot. This way, you know, it goes well together pretty well. But yeah, I'm actually going to leave you here, guys. So as usual, you will find in the description all of the information to download this build on the gallery, and you will also find a link to the online gallery if you want to download it on there. Please let me know what you think about this build, and yeah, I'm going to leave you here. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I will talk to you in the next one.